I'm sorry, miss. I didn't realise anybody was in here. I'll wait outside if you like.
Oh, good Lord, no, there's no need. One will get frightfully cold hanging around out there.
Well, I meant wait in the hall, actually, not outside.
Yes, one understood perfectly what one meant. It's just horribly cold, almost anywhere in this house.
Well, I suppose there is a war on, miss.
Yes, I expect that's how Jerry intends beating us into submission. By freezing us all to death. What a beastly end that would be. I'm Virginia, but you can call me Jenny. And one only affords that privilege to people who one likes. One thinks one might like you. You are?
Tompkins.
You don't have a first name, Tompkins?
Oh, no, miss. I'm just a humble constable. We're not allowed first names.
Oh, come along now. Don't be such a spoil. I promise not to tell. One can be very discreet.
It's Arthur, actually.
Arthur! How delightful! See, that wasn't so bad after all, was it? One's trying to get to know the list, you know. Only been here a few weeks. Lending a hand with the Brussels sprouts. I say, I haven't seen you around, have I?
I'm not around the sprouts. I can't stand them. I'm usually stationed down in the village. Maybe you've seen me there?
Perhaps. It's terribly isolated up here, you know. Not many people take the bother to come and visit. Makes life dreadfully dull.
Mrs. Allwright told me to wait in here. She said she'd be along in a minute.
Well, yes, I suppose she's the jolly old boss, yes. I say, I haven't seen you around. I say, you're not here on business, are you?
I'm afraid I am, miss. We've lost one of our constables.
Oh, that sounds very careless of you, officer. One hopes you don't do it too regularly. Otherwise we'll run out of men.
Oh, we can't have that, can we?
It's not really a joking matter, Mrs. Allwright. We're rather worried about him. He went missing a couple of days ago, and we haven't seen him since.
Terribly sorry. Please forgive me. Really, rather a bad joke in bad taste. But... So, why did you come all the way out here to speak to us? I find it intriguing.
Well, that's the thing, you see. We believe he was somewhere in the area when he went missing. We have to follow up all the possible leads, as you can imagine.
Yes, so officer, how can we help? I mean, anything at all, really.
Well, I think that's a matter for my superior when he arrives. He should be here any moment, if he hasn't got himself lost.
You don't seem to have much faith in him finding us.
Forgive me, Mrs. Allwright, but are you the daughter of the late Colonel Charles Craddock?
Yes, I am.
Then I expect you'll have heard of him. Inspector Pratt?
No, surely not. Surely they wouldn't send him up here again. Not after the last time.
I'm afraid with the war, we're very badly in demand. Hopefully he won't trouble you for long. That'll be him now, I expect. Shall I?
No, don't worry, I'll go. One is terribly intrigued.
So then, what's all this with the Mrs. Allwright business? I thought I was Nancy now.
You are Nancy, but not when I've got my uniform on.
Oh, but I haven't seen you with it off yet.
I meant when I was on official business. You know what I meant?
How boring. Okay, so what do you know about this Inspector Pratt then? He's been walking disaster by all accounts.
Well, I've only had the misfortune to work with him on one case a couple of years ago. It was here, actually. I've still got the scars. Nowadays, we just try and keep him in the office sharpening pencils, but, well, they've got to let him out occasionally, I suppose.
No need to fuss. She's hardly got a mark on her. She'll be all right after a lie down. You just find her a seat somewhere and let her get her wind back. Not that I'm implying she had wind before.
I'll be all right in a moment, dear. The nausea will pass shortly.
One cannot be too careful, Miss Maple. One may have broken something.
Gosh, what on earth happened, Mrs. Maple?
Oh, it was nothing, dear. Just a slight accident. I'm sure the inspector meant no harm.
Are you responsible for this?
As Miss Maypole said, just an unfortunate and regrettable motoring incident. She was incorrectly positioned on her bicycle and I touched her up the rear end.
Inspector.
On On the verge of what?
On the grass verge.
Yes, precisely. Had you have been correctly positioned on the road itself, I would have missed you by a mile as I exited through the hedge. Fortunately, there's little harm done, hardly a mark on the carpet. I'm sure the constable will retrieve the rest of your bicycle later if these good people could lend him a dustbin for the pieces. In the meantime, I have bigger fish to batter. They were in your shelter.
I shall fetch you a hot sweet drink, Miss Nick. One permit you to move until one returns.
Are all the inhabitants of the house here?
I'm not sure, sir. There are a couple missing at the moment, sir. Not here at the moment, sir.
Yes. Do I recognize you?
I don't know, sir. We have worked together once before. You used to call me Thompson.
Ah, so that's your name, is it, Thompson?
No, sir. It's Tompkins.
So why did I call you Thompson?
I haven't the faintest idea, sir.
Allow me to introduce myself to you. Defective Inspector Pratt. I hope that would impress you. May I have your name, please, and your circumstantials?
Circumstantials, Inspector?
Yes, of course. The circumstantials that brought you to this house.
Oh, I see. My name's Mrs. Nancy Allwright, and I moved here several months ago after being left this house by my late father.
Ah, I see. And when do you expect him to return?
My father? But I don't. He's dead.
I think that's what Mrs. Allwright meant by late, sir.
Yes, all right, I know what you meant. So, who's your father?
Colonel Charles Craddock. I believe you knew him.
But yes, I knew him very well. But why are you trying to deceive me, Mrs. Allwright? He inhabited the house next door.
This is next door, sir.
Don't be ridiculous. Are you trying to turn me into a laughing stock? Next door is next door.
No, it's all the same house, sir. Flagshop House.
I'm sorry, Inspector. I think I can see why you're confused.
Confused? I've never been less confused in my life.
That's true, sir.
My father used to live in the main house. When I first come here, I couldn't bear the atmosphere in there. It was terrible. I mean, after all the recent deaths in the past few years, I decided I would shut it up.
But you yourself were present at most of the deaths, Inspector. It was regrettable they should happen under your nose. I'm afraid you bring the same bad luck to people as I do myself. The minute I step over a doorstep, they begin to drop like flies.
I thought you were supposed to be resting, Miss Maypole, until the nautical spells passed.
Well, no, I'm feeling rather better now, Inspector. Quite back to my old self.
Oh, good. I'm so pleased. I don't recall the Colonel ever mentioning that he had a daughter.
Hardly surprising.
What was that?
I said it's hardly surprising you don't remember, sir. You've always got so much on your plate.
I'm afraid, Inspector, that my father and I, from an early age, didn't really see eye to eye. Secretly, I think he would have preferred a boy, but we hadn't spoken for many years. Though when I heard of his death, I was mortified, and then I was saddened and guilt that we drifted apart from each other.
Here you are, Miss Maypole. One must drink it straight away. Shock may set in if one dehydrates.
Oh, thank you, dear. I don't suppose you happen to put a splash of rum in this, did you?
Oh, no. Would you like me to?
No. That's quite all right. Thank you, dear. I'm absolutely fine. I've got the constitution of an ox. Now then, Inspector. I fear I owe you an apology.
It's all right, Miss Maypole. Just ride more carefully in future. Not all motorists have my lightning-fast reflectives.
No. About the deaths that occurred here last year, I'm told my sister behaved extraordinarily badly. She always was the black sheep of the family.
A sheep in a family of foxes, eh?
I said ox, Inspector.
Mrs. Hall, what exactly were the circumcisions of your late father?
Why, I believe you would know better than I, Inspector. You were present, I believe.
His wife Margaret was the chief suspect, I believe. She thoughtfully left a small note of condolence, although the way it was pinned to his chest with a pitchfork rather spoiled
Yes, I remember now. Margaret had the mad one.
Inspector Pratt! After all she's done, whatever it is, she is still my mother. She can't help her illness. Saying she needs help.
Which is why she needs to be caught. I will not rest easy until she is caught and safely reincarbonated into the sanctimonium for the inane. But returning to the matter in hand. Where is the painting normally kept?
Painting?
Yes, the missing constable. I assume that it's one of his landscapes.
Excuse me, sir. I think you're barking up the wrong tree.
Why would I bark up a tree?
No, I mean you're wrong about the painting.
I think not. I did a little research before coming here. According to the Little Pratt's mini encyclopedia, he expelled at landscapes. The haystack, I believe, was one of his better methods.
It's one of our men, sir.
A painting of one of our men. Oh dearie me. It's no wonder the force is on such a slippery slope.
Why? What's wrong, sir?
Think about it. According to my researchings, Constable's been dead for a centurion. He couldn't possibly have painted one of our men.
It's one of our men who's gone missing, sir. Constable Atkins. He went missing 2 days ago, sir. We believe he was in the vicinity of Bagshot House at the time.
I mean, there's no painting.
No, sir.
Then why did you tell me that there was? Why were you coming up here, Miss Maple, when you reversed into my car?
Well, I've been away for several days, visiting my nephew. Such a nice young man. Although he does have a few unpleasant habits. So, when I returned to the village this morning, I heard a little gossip.
Ah, and who was the little gossip?
No, Inspector, the gossip was an event, not a person. I was racing along here on my bicycle to offer my assistance. As you know, I take a keen interest in crime in all of its manifestations.
And you, sir?
Virginia! Virginia Farquhar! I'm working here at the house.
Heist?
Here at Bagshot House. Lending a hand with the sprites.
Sprouts. You're suggesting that there are some sort of elves around here?
Brussels sprouts, sir. Sorry, I mean sprouts.
And where would we be without Brussels sprouts at Christmas, Inspector? Do you know there's only 24 days left before Christmas Day? Yes, there is. And I hope you've purchased your gifts for Mrs. Pratt in good time. There's bound to be shortages with the war.
Miss Maple, I hardly think that Mrs. Pratt's surprise Christmas treats are pertinent. At the moment, I'm rather more interested in these pert treats.
Daddy thought that we should do our bit for the jolly old war effort. Ginny, old girl, he said, go out there and help your king and country. So, one decided to do a spot of volunteering in farm management. And here one is. Our family have been in agriculture for generations.
Agriculture. So, you're chicken farmers?
No, arable mainly actually. Just a few acres, no more than a small holding really.
Forgive me, but why are you persecuting a man, Miss Farquhar?
One didn't realise what was.
One's clothes?
Oh, you mistook. Oh, no, one was out earlier, hanging around, checking up on things.
Happy. Forgive me, I may not be a man of the soil myself, but that hardly sounds the way to treat Brussels sprouts. Does anyone else inhibit big shot heists?
I run the house as a small bed and breakfast establishment, Inspector. At the moment, I have two guests staying, Mrs. Morgan and Mr. Garibaldi. I could call them.
Call them what?
I meant that I could ask them to come down.
In due course, Mrs. Albright. At the moment, there's rather an incontinent elephant in your store that rather sets alarm bells ringing. I wouldn't be surprised if Thompson's bells weren't ringing too.
Don't think so, sir.
No? Well, perhaps that's why you are where you are and I am where I am, which is here. Does it not seem rather fishy to you that Mrs. Albright claims to be the daughter of Colonel Haddock?
What's wrong with that, sir?
Well, think about it, ma'am. Why adopt an alias? Why is she called Haddock too?
She's married, sir.
Why didn't you tell me you were married, Mrs. Albright?
I never asked, Inspector. But I thought being called Mrs. Albright might be a clue.
So, where is your husband? I suppose you're going to tell me he's also called Mrs. Albright. I suppose you're going to tell me that he's missing, along with Constable Napkins.
As a matter of fact, Inspector, sadly, yes, he is missing. He's squad leader Albright.
So, a pattern is emerging. Two persons missing together like fleas in a pot. Find one or the other and you'll inevitably find the other one.
Hardly, Inspector. My husband is missing in action, believed dead. He was shot down over the Channel in August in what Mr. Churchill called the Battle of Britain. He was one of the few, Inspector.
It's all right, Nancy. One should distress oneself like this.
Fortitude, child. One must be strong.
Forgive me, Mrs. Albright. I didn't mean to cause you distress. I myself volunteered to be one of the few, but was turned down because I have a fear of heights and a stigmata in my left eye. Still, I guess if we'd all been accepted, I guess it would be quite the same. We would have been the many. So what do we know?
About what, sir?
About Constable Napkin's visit here, of course. You want to butter your ideas at Thompson, or we'll be here all day.
It's Atkins, actually, sir.
All right, Atkins, so what do we know?
Not very much, sir. We do know that when he finished his shift, he told one of the lads he was heading up to Bagshot House. We don't know why he wanted to come up here, although he said he had some suspicions of something going on. He may not even have got up here.
But of course he didn't get here. If he had, then Mrs. Halfright or Miss Fakakaha would have seen him.
I think you're missing the point, sir.
What point? What? Miss Maple, do you mind? I'm trying to have a private convocation with Constable Atkins.
I'm terribly sorry, Inspector. I was just trying to retrieve the knitting from my bag. I've 23 scarves to make before Christmas Day.
Allow me, Miss Maple.
Thank you, Constable. Thank you.
So now, please. Well,
Sorry, sir.
Whilst I'm here, Inspector, if I may make a small interjection.
I think I've had quite enough injections. One day,
No, I think the point the constable was trying to make was that if something underhand had befallen your missing van, then the perpetrator would hardly admit to having seen him.
Well, of course I know that. I'm not a half-wit. I'm fully witted.
There are two people in the house who are yet to be interviewed, sir.
You didn't tell me you were employing more staff.
What do you mean by paying guests, Inspector?
And one of them may be the perpetuator. Do you trust them with implicity, Miss Maple? Are they above suspension? Go and fetch the Napkins. I'll interpretate them down here.
Very good, sir. I wonder if someone could show me where I may find a guest.
Oh, yes, undoubtedly in their rooms. I'll show you the way, if you like. Arthur. Oh, sorry, how jolly dreadful. Oh, promise not to give you away.
I'll be back in a moment, sir.
Yes, Arthur. You'd better be.
you urgently. Something terrible has happened which I can't escape from.
Whatever is the matter, my dear?
I can't tell you when he's here. We need to speak in private.
I wonder if you still require us, Inspector. I'm feeling quite recovered from my bump in the rear. And we've offered to help Mrs. Allwright make a pot of tea for us all.
I'd like you to remain here for the moment, please. I may have further questionings for you.
Oh, well then, might I inquire what you are doing, Inspector?
I believe that the house may be riddled with a cacophony of secret doors and back passages.
Really? How intriguing! Gracious! And are you certain of this?
Well, during my last investigations here, I had a hunch that there was a secret door. As I stood here surveying the walls, I got my hunchback. By hunchback, I don't of course mean a fellow with a spinal infirmity. You may not be aware that I'm a rather accomplished musical percussionist. My trained muscular ear can detect even the slightest variation in tone. It would appear that this wall sounds perfectly sound throughout.
Are you so certain you haven't missed anything?
Certain? Is the earth flat, Miss Maypole?
Well, even with my inexperienced ear, I can feel a slight hollow here, if I'm not mistaken. A hidden door, no doubt.
That door, I had spotted that. I was looking for hidden doors. That is an unhidden door, poorly camouflaged against its surroundings. May I inquire where it executes to?
Why, it leads to the main house, Inspector.
Does it indeed? It appear to be jammed. Some maintenance is required. Jammed or booby-trapped.
As I explained earlier, the house was locked up. No one's been through there for many months, Inspector.
And you have a key?
Yes, I believe it's in the top drawer of my desk.
Locked doors always worry me, Mrs. Cartwright. Not in the way that a rabbi dog might worry me, of course, but they conceal hidden secrets, secretly locked away. Secretly. May I?
Yes, of course.
My apologies. It would appear stationery usually moves so fast. Strange you've given that name. But here is the key. It would appear I've done you a small service, Mrs. Halfright. Some reorganization was needed. Mrs. Pratt is always very particular about her drawers.
They're on their way down, sir.
Who are?
The two guests. I'm not sure you'll get much sense out of them, sir. They both seem a bit,
Round-headed?
no, funny, sir.
Well, you weren't laughing when you came in just now.
No, funny peculiar. Not funny ha-ha, sir. A bit crazy.
I wouldn't worry about that, Atkins. I've had to deal with madness all my life.
Yes. I'm sure you have, sir. Miss Farquhar said she needed to go and start work. She'll be in the outhouse if you need her again, sir.
Very good.
I think you're going to have to be very careful with Miss Farquhar's name, sir.
Why?
Well, if you got it wrong, it could sound rather rude, sir.
And why would I get it wrong? I'm always very particular about names, Atkins. You should know that.
Then I shall put the drawer back, if that's all right, Inspector.
Be my guest. Though technically I'm your guest.
We were just looking for the Inspector. He'll be in by here, is it?
That's right, Mrs. Morgan. Through here, please.
So you'll be the great Pratt, will you? Very pleased to make your acquaintance. I've heard so much about you.
And I am happy to meet you also, Inspector. I am Garibaldi.
And you are from?
London. But first I come from the Bella City, Rome.
Buenas noches, señorita.
I am here at your service, Inspector.
And my name's Blodwyn. Blodwyn Morgan.
As you can probably hear, I'm up from the valleys.
And which valleys would those be?
Oh, I've heard about you and your little tricks, Inspector. Always pretending not to understand what's going on. You're coughing like a knackered old pit pony there, Miss Maple. You want to take care, or we'll be digging your grave next week.
Oh, thank you, Blodwyn. I'm quite all right, but I must tell you about the bicycling accident I had on the way up here. Most unsettling.
Accident, is it? A woman your age wants to be careful of accidents. You don't want to be going bald-headed at things at your age, no.
Excuse me, ladies. I wonder...
Don't mind us at all, Inspector Bach. You just carry on with whatever it is you're about. Don't mind us. Don't mind us at all.
Inspector, it's always the same in my country. The women, they get together, talk about this, talk about that, talk. But hey, it's okay, Inspector. Where would we be without the ladies?
We were wondering whether you'd seen anything of one of our constables up here in the last few days, Mr. Garibaldi.
Do you mind, Atkins? I'm in charge. Have you seen a man now? Mr. Baldy.
You have a problem with the eye, Inspector? You have a twitch, you know?
No, I know of a twitchio.
No, I have not seen no police. You suspect me of something because I am the Italiano. I did not make a war with you. I've lived here for 10 years. That's why my English is so good. No, Mussolini is your enemy. It's not fair you pick on me, huh?
I think I can vouch for Mr. Garibaldi, Inspector. His restaurant was burned down to the ground last May. He was interned and then released as a Class C alien.
I have all the correct papers. You want me to fetch? I'll go get them.
No, there's no need, Mr. Baldy. I'm sure you're totally bona fide. No, the poor fellow was interred. He's been duly processioned.
I am a very good chef. My specialty is the bella pizza. Sometimes I make for the ladies.
So I've heard, sir.
Can you tell me why you are here, Mrs. Organ?
Oh, well now, that's a deeply philosophical question, that is, Inspector. Have you heard of clairvoyance?
No, friend of yours, is she?
Clairvoyance? No. That's what I go in for, see, clairvoyance and spiritualism. I'm a medium.
And why would that be so special? Many women are medium. I mean, as it happens, Mrs. Pratt takes extra large. She puts it down to an under-addictive title.
I contacted their inspector at that, and from what I've heard, there's plenty of scope for that around by here. 8 of them gone over to the other side in the last few years, and most of them murdered right under your nose, so I'm told. I'm going to get through to them.
There is a theory, Inspector, that ghosts are very often associated with murder. The emotional high of a murder is charged so high that a residual force is very often left in this world. Contact may be possible, but I've always been very wary of intercourse.
Really don't think we need to delve into that sort of personal detail, Miss Elaine.
To do with those who have perished.
Don't you think that all of the perishers may have become ghosts?
A tiny few, I shouldn't wonder. Since the time I came up down by here, I've experienced some very peculiar phenomena.
Up, down by you.
It's true, Inspector, because I've heard noises coming from the unoccupied side of the house. Lots of banging noises and scratching noises. It may be ghosts or perhaps poltergeists, but whatever they are, without a doubt, I'll get hold of them.
Let me be frank. Although that's not my name, of course. My name's George. I've never heard such nonsense. Ghosts and poultry ghosts. First it was Miss Fuck-Ass Sprite. You'll be telling me that there are pharaohs at the bottom of the garden next. Do I look like a fool, Mrs. Organ? I think that it's time we Atkins,
I'm here, sir.
what are you doing down there, man? I thought you were a poof.
There appears to be some blood stains on the carpet. The trail seems to lead to the door, sir. And the carpet, it still feels slightly damp. As though somebody is trying to wash it in the last day or two.
A damp carpet, eh? Just as I thought. Can anyone explain?
I think I can, Inspector. I noticed someone had spilt something there earlier and trying to wipe it clean.
A very unlikely explanation. Can anyone confirm your story? No? Well, in that case, I'm going to have to arrest you for the suspected tinkling and tampering with suspicious evidence. We'll take her down to the station, Atkins.
I think I could verify her story, Inspector. I was hoping it would remain my little secret. It's most embarrassing.
You should know better than to try to keep secrets from me, Miss Maypole. I have a nose like a Cheshire cat.
Well, when I was last here, I had a little accident on the carpet. It's my age, Inspector. It seems to be happening more frequently. Yes, a scone tipped from my plate and landed on the carpet with the jam facing downwards. I thought no one had noticed, so I didn't draw attention to it. Quite dreadful of me, I know.
Jam. I thought it was an accident of the less jammy nature.
I still think we need to see through there, sir.
What for?
Well, just in case it is blood on the carpet. The trail does seem to lead in that direction.
Yes, the door. I hadn't forgotten that, but it appears to be locked.
I think we've already been through that, Inspector.
No, we haven't. I've just said it's locked.
I mean about it being locked. I believe you have the key in your pocket.
Ah, yes, I do.
You want to be very careful how you go meddling, Inspector. If you go through by there, you may unleash unspeakable forces.
What kind of unspeakable forces?
Well, how can I tell you that? They're unspeakable.
Yes, I think you should take it again, Inspector. You have the old English saying like the dog who is asleep, I lie the longest.
And I also have a saying, Mr. Baldy. Never have a fearer when a pratter is a nearer.
At the very least, to be on the safe side, we should try to exercise first.
I run 5 miles every morning, Mrs. Organ. I could outpace a fully grown gazebo.
On your end, be it, Inspector. Fair play to you, mind. But it is almost invariably the one who enters first who is in mortal peril. I'll try to keep the forces at bay if I can, but I can't promise that I hold out much hope.
So you're suggesting that only the one who enters first is in danger?
In my experience, yes, without a doubt.
Nonsense. No danger at all. You'll be perfectly fine. I'll be right behind you. Well, it was your idea. Take your truncheon with you, and if you are attacked by ghosts, knock 3 times on the floor on your way down.
I'm not sure I like this, sir.
Well, you'll just have to like it. I'm in charge.
Oh, blimey, sir. I could have collapsed with fright.
Just get on with it, man. And if you do collapse, rest assured I'm fully trained in recitation.
There's nothing here, sir. Except... Oh, right, there's a terrible smell, sir. I think I'm going to be... Oh, never mind, sir. It's just a cheese sandwich. And this, sir. too good either, sir. It's curdled milk, sir.
Oh, that'll be the rationing. Not enough cow's milk to go around.
That was extremely brave of you, Constable.
Foolhardy, I call it. Yet I suppose if every fool wore a crown, we should all be kings.
I thought it was very courageous of you, officer.
No, it was nothing.
That's right. Nothing contagious about it at all. That's all there is in there.
Well, there are all the other rooms as well, sir.
What do you mean?
He means the other rooms beyond. The rest of the main house is through there, Inspector. The door at the other end of that room leads straight into the main corridor.
Wait a moment, sir. I think I found something here. Snuff marks by the door. It appears though something heavy has been dragged through. There may be more traces of blood as well, sir.
You want to be very careful over by there, Inspector. There may be immense, huge, powerful forces trying to drag people through into the underworld. I'm beginning to sense something now, a deep throbbing from the depths beyond.
Yes, I think you should keep the door shut. I have the throbbing in my head also.
Not since you have a cold. It's your sinusoidal passage.
No, there's more to it than that. Can't you all hear it?
Colonel Haddock, he used a stick for his grout. I didn't mean it, Colonel. It wasn't my fault.
Come out, whoever you are. We're not afraid of you.
I think I'm needed down at the station.
Seems to be a bit of a shindig going on in here. Mind if I join the jolly old party?
Oh, my goodness.
I don't like it, Atkins. I don't like it at all. There's something going on and I don't know what it is.
I expect you're used to that, sir.
What do you mean?
Nothing, sir. It's just that, being a detective, it must be hard sometimes, detecting. Actually, I've been doing it a bit myself, sir.
Do what?
Well, when you sent me off on my own to check through the rest of the house, I realised why you thought the sounds were coming from through there, sir.
No, I wasn't deceived. You were as bad as the rest of them. I knew what was going on. So, what going on?
Well, the room through there has one of the house's original speaking tubes. Someone had left the cap off and it connects through to the front door. The banging we heard was the squadron leader trying to attract attention at the front door.
Oh yes, the front door.
Yeah, I couldn't find anything else much, although there were signs of recent activity. One of the window shutters looked to have been tampered with, so somebody's been through it. But I'm sure this is blood down here, sir. And it's not looking good for Atkins.
For who?
He's the missing constable, sir.
Is he really? Is he your brother?
No, sir.
Just a coincidence then, you two having the same name.
He's not, it's just that... Never mind, sir. Do you want to speak with the squadron leader now? He said he'd be available when you needed him.
Why would I want to talk to him? He wasn't even here when whatever happened.
We don't know that, sir. Truth be told, we don't know anything about him at all, sir.
And why should we tell the truth? We're police officers. Anyway, he's in the RAF. He's a squadron leader.
Well, we've only got his word for that. And Mrs. Allright, I suppose.
You see, this is why you're still a constable, Atkins. You observe, but you see nothing from your observatory. Do I have to point out every small detail to you? Every supple nuisance?
Sorry, I don't get you, sir.
You see, every case is like a crossword puzzle. In order to solve the puzzle, you must read the clues. Take our hypocritical puzzle. 8 across. What was the squadron leader wearing?
Squadron leader's uniform, sir. Sorry, I still don't get you, sir.
Think, man. Who but a squadron leader would wear a squadron leader's uniform?
No one, sir.
Exactly.
Except someone who was trying to impersonate a squadron leader, sir.
Right. Wheel him in, Atkins. He's not pulling that one on me. we'll soon see about that piece of skilled drudgery. I'm not green behind the ears, you know.
No, don't suppose you are. Believe you wanted a bit of a chin wag, Inspector. What can I do for you? Understand you've lost one of your chaps. Bad show.
We don't do this show, sir. This is a very serious business. Oh, I can't help noticing you have a limp.
A limp water chap.
A limp leg.
Yes, I know. I was just pulling yours, Inspector.
Pulling my what?
Leg, of course. I expect you'll want to know how I bought this packet.
I hope you're not confessing to the purchase of elusive black market cigarettes.
No, old chap. I meant how I bought the leg.
You bought it? I didn't realise it was false. It looked so leg-like. But let me get straight to the point.
That would be rather helpful.
Why are you persecuting a squadron leader? Squadron leader.
Sorry, old chap. I still don't get your drift.
Then let me be blunt. Though please don't mistake my bluntness. I am the sharpest fork in the canteen of clubs. Why are you wearing that uniform?
Because it's mine.
Well, I only have your word for that, sir.
Oh, it's definitely mine, Inspector. I've just had it cleaned. I'll have a bone to pick with my man who's dropped a clanger and picked up the wrong one.
Your man?
Yes, my batsman. He can vouch for the fact that it's mine.
Well, I think that clears things up. Your batsman, eh? If you take my advice, I wouldn't overdo the cricket with a false leg.
No, I won't. Anything else I can elucidate, Inspector?
Look, it's facts I'm interested in, not hallucinations.
Fire away, old chap.
There are a couple of things that you can clear up for me. By clear up, I don't of course mean clear up. I'm sure your wife does that sort of thing for you.
Fire away.
Thank you, sir. Is it all right if I call you, sir? Sir, I could call you the squadron leader, if you like, or perhaps just leader.
No need for the ceremony. Just call me Sticky if you like. Everybody else does.
On account of your leg.
Good Lord, no. Only just collected that. No, it's something quite different. What?
I didn't say anything, sir.
Pardon?
I said I didn't say anything, sir.
Yes, I know you did. Bit of a mix-up. What? Look, chap, I rather think if we're going to make any progress, you should perhaps just tell me what you want.
Good idea, sir. Pity you didn't think of that one, Atkins.
Mind if I take a bit of weight off?
I hardly think that's necessary, sir. It looked fit enough to me.
No, take some weight off my leg.
That sounds a bit drastic, sir. You might weaken it. Perhaps if you sit down for a couple of moments.
Yes, thank you, I will. Still got a chunk of such shrapnel rattling about, but I expect the medical wallers have got their finger on the pulse. I suppose you'll want to know all about my movements.
Well, not really my area, sir, but even if they are irregular, I suggest you have one with your medical boys. You can't be too careful.
Apparently everybody thought you were dead, sir. Mrs. Allwright was rather overcome.
Yes, I suppose I should have let Nancy know I was on my way back here, but I thought it would be a bit of a surprise if I just turned up out of the blue. Didn't realise she thought I was dead. Bad show upsetting her like that, I suppose.
Perhaps you could tell us how you came to be missing.
Do you mind? Perhaps you could tell us how you came to be missing.
Yes, of course. It was early morning, August. We hadn't really expected to get cracking quite so soon. It was breakfast time. We got scrambled.
Oh, very nice, sir. Mrs. Pratt likes poached, but I prefer boiled with little bread sauce.
Be that as it may, there was a real flap on. We must have climbed to about 12,000 feet when we see them. Bandits at 2 o'clock.
You did very well to see them from that height. I suppose it was their horses you saw first.
No, bandits, old chap. Jerry time. Kites everywhere. See the sky for the blighters. Bombers, fighter cover up top. Soon we dived, tele-ho and all that sort of business. I peeled off and chased a Dornout over the channel. Quick squirt, bagged it, piece of cake, or so I thought.
Piece of cake?
Yes, anyway, I watched him ditching the drink, and then when I looked around, the sky was empty, not a blight to be seen. I was just turning to her when I caught a glimpse of something hurtling down towards me.
A focker.
Yes, in a measurement 109.
Beware the one out of the sun. That's what they say.
Exactly. This blighter had me in his sights and there was no shaking him.
I suppose you tried to outwit him, sir.
Everything in the book, Inspector. And I wrote a few new pages myself.
I'm amazed you had the time, sir. Good job you had a pencil with you.
Well, I gave you a run for his money, I can tell you. I was banking left, then right, diving, looping, spinning. I thought I'd had it. Then suddenly, I saw a chance. I caught him on the hop, burrowed in behind him, lined myself up, and tack.
You tackled him with tacks.
I'm afraid not, old chap. His wingman got me. Never even spotted the blighter. Last him good and proper. Talk about brassed off. What a plotter, eh?
Bad luck, sir.
Was rather. So there we are. He got his kill.
So, now you're dead.
Well, obviously not. Just caught the blighty one in the leg. As the kite went down, I managed to flip her over and bail out. We drifted out over the coast, but unfortunately it was the wrong coast.
Were you taken prisoner, sir?
Well, that's where I had a spot of luck. Some friendly frog types got to me first, patched my leg up best they could, hid me here, there, and everywhere for a couple of months, then finally managed to smuggle me back over by boat. Of course, I was fully debriefed on my return.
Debriefed and given your artificial leg.
Look, old chap, I'm not sure how you got this erroneous idea about a false leg. It's all my own, just a little bend. The Winco raised a spotted leaf for me to recuperate, so I got the train out here.
It's all right, sir. I know how you feel. I was shot in the foot once. Both feet, naturally.
I'm sure the leader doesn't want to hear about your trivial scratches. So, the leg's still giving you some trouble, sir?
Gives me a bit of jip. Not so bad as long as I keep on swallowing the air down a decent jump.
Ah, so you're all here then? Oh, we thought you would have left us by now, Inspector. How pleasant to find you're still here. And how are you, Squadron Leader? You gave us quite a turn appearing out of the blue.
Yes, didn't you just? You really should have let me know you were all right, darling. I've been sick with grief.
So sick that you removed all our photographs, Nance. Still, I suppose you had to move on. What? Well done.
Your husband's just been telling us about his blighted leg. He has to take anaglipta tablets.
Such a hero.
Oh, we must keep you, Inspector. I wonder if you'd be so kind as to take the remnants of my bicycle down to the village when you leave.
I'll have to remain here for the moment yet, Miss Maypole. My preliminary inquiries have thrown up one or two anomalies. Blood on the floor and tampering with the windows.
Tampering with the windows in the boarded part of the house?
I saw it myself, Miss Maple. Sure as eggs are eggs. Either poached olive oil day, sir.
Stop rambling, man.
If what you say is correct, Constable, I suspect I know who is behind all this. If I'm right, as I invariably am, we may all be in terrible danger. Now, dear, I know this is hard, but you must be very honest with us.
Why, yes, of course.
When we arrived here, you told the inspector you hadn't seen your mother. Now, were you telling the truth? It's vital for all our safety that we know. Have you been hiding her from the authorities?
No, of course not. I can't believe you're asking me such a question.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to distress you, but even so, Inspector, I fear that Mrs. Craddock is at large, and in her mental state, she may be a danger to everyone. Your constable may have fallen foul of her. Perhaps he saw her furtively prowling the area.
Yes, I have also concluded the same conclusion. Large Mrs. Haddock may be to blame. I will have to convect my findings to the Chief Superintendent and obtain further instructions.
I expect he'll pull you off this one now, sir. Like he normally does when anything serious happens. Send somebody else up here.
Surely not.
A lot of paperwork at the station, I should imagine, sir.
Yes, indeed. May I use your telephone, please, Mrs. Halftide?
Yes, of course. And I shall accompany you. I see no reason why a man of your caliber should be taken off the case. I am a personal friend of the Chief Superintendent and his dear wife, and I'll have words with them on your behalf. Yes, if anybody's to stay up here, Inspector, my mind is made up. It must be you. I will show you the way, Inspector. No, it's quite all right, dear. I'll take the Inspector, and then I'll make us a nice pot of herbal tea. What do you say to that, Inspector? Come along, Constable. You can warm the pot while we telephone. Come on, keep up. You know, I can't believe this is happening. Gosh. I can't believe this is happening. Why are you doing this to me? Why are you being so horrid?
Not too happy to have the old man back, eh? Sorry, old thing, but I'm not that keen on being here either. Still, we'll just have to make the most of it, I suppose.
So, if you don't want to be here, why don't you just clear off and leave me alone?
Believe me, I'd love to go. Bit of a dicey do walking into a house full of policemen. Climbing back in the old spit and having another crack at Jerry would be far less nerve-wracking than all this.
Oh, yes. You step into a Spitfire, you wouldn't have the guts.
Look, I don't subscribe to all this voting we believe, but you could say I'm as trapped as you are. So we'll just have to muddle along for a while, eh?
Just how long do you intend staying here?
Just long enough to get things buttoned up here, convince everyone that we're a happily married pair of lovebirds. Don't worry, old thing. I won't be demanding my conjugal rights.
How dare you? I don't know how you got the nerve. How dare you walk in here and think you could demand anything? Do you really want to be implicated in all of this? When Pratt finds out that there has been a murder here?
Murder? What murder? I didn't know anything about murder.
Well then perhaps you'd better take extra care, because it may be your turn next.
You mean the Bobby type really was killed? I wasn't told anything about that.
For absolutely that last time, Mr. Garibaldi, one has absolutely no intention of going to the cinema with you, and that is one's final decision.
But I think you sooner change your mind. We could have the cuddles on the back row. No need to watch the film. I love the English ladies. Always they say that they won't, but their eyes tell me that they might.
Bit out of my depth there, old chap. Never really been one for the ladies. Give me machines any day. Fly anything you care to mention, but I've always pranked all my girlfriends.
Till you met me, darling.
Yeah, absolutely. Girl in a million. What?
One really does not have the time for your ridiculous chatterings, Mr. Garibaldi. If one goes to the cinema, it shall be with one's girlfriend. Now, shall we behave ourselves? My daddy has a name for people like you.
Why your papa so hard? If he meets Enzo Garibaldi, he changes his mind under no mistake. Now, I ask you one more time, I'll go to the pictures with you,
Don't you dare touch me. You hear me?
Oh, Miss Virginia, don't be so hard on poor Enzo. I go down on one knee. I mean you no harm. I beg you, forgive me.
One will be more inclined to horsewhip you than forgive you.
You've gone too far, Mr. Garibaldi. I thought you'd lived in this country long enough to know we have certain standards of behaviour. If you continue on this manner, then I'll be forced to...
What will you do, Miss Laurent? What will you have me do?
Oh! Come on, Ginny, let's leave this horrid man on his own.
You seem to make a habit of taking things too far, Mr. Garibaldi.
You don't understand, we Italiano. I can't help it if it's in my blood.
Yes, well, talking of blood, Nancy was just telling me this missing police chap is dead. This has gone too far. I'm leaving.
No, I don't think so. You're not going going anywhere at all, Geoffrey. Derek Copper strengthens our hand, and I saw her kill him. You're in this as deep as me. Trust me.
Trust you? I've never trusted you, chap. Never.
Ah, Atkins. I wondered where you got to.
I was just in the kitchen, sir, giving Miss Maple a hand.
Doing what?
It's the modern approach to community police work, sir. We've been told that we need to be more than just a remote figure sprinting past on a bicycle. We've got to be more accessible, sir.
Accessible. Things aren't like they were in my day, Atkins. When I was on the beat, the pace was relentless. Prowler Pratt, I was known as on my part. I was always encouraged to remain remote. Oh yes, I'll never forget what my old sergeant used to say to me. Pratt used to say, your chances of getting promoted are at best remote.
I still think the Colonel's wife is behind everything. When I was searching through the rest of the house, it felt as though I was being watched, but her eyes were boring into the back of my head. It was quite spooky, really.
No. I'm more concerned about the sanitary of the current incompetence of the house. There's something not right. I have a seventh sense about these things. Think about it. Why is a chicken farmer growing Brussels sprouts? Why does the squadron leader claim to have taken off at breakfast time and then let slip that he saw bandits at 2 o'clock? Why does that Italian fellow keep winking at me? And why does he have an English name?
Sorry, I don't follow, sir.
Gary Balding. Doesn't sound good.
That's his surname, sir.
Sir Gary Balding. He kept that one quiet. Oh, but why is Miss Maypole giving me a cup of golden syrup to drink? I'll tell you what I think. I think it's not hot. I'm just somewhere up now. I don't know. And when you finish that, you can get me another cup of tea.
I think I may have missed one or two of the details there, sir. I don't suppose you could repeat it.
Repeat it? You want to get your finger out of the hat, Atkins, or I'll be sending for another one of you. In this line of work, you can't afford to take your eye off the bell for a moment. Otherwise, you'll find you have more on your hands than you can swallow.
I'm lost for words.
Forgive me, Mrs. Halfwit. I was just continuing my search for back passages and booby traps. By booby traps, I don't... If you care to make a complaint, I suggest you get it off your breast. By chest, I don't of course mean chest of drawers, like your drawers that I rummaged in earlier. Forgive me, I think I need to run my head under some cold water.
What an extraordinary performance. Are you all right, my dear?
Yes, absolutely. I'm just a little bemused.
You'll have to excuse the inspector, Mrs. Allwright. He has a rather unconventional approach to his work.
Really, is that what it's called now?
And has the inspector any theories? I'm interested to learn his latest progress.
Well, I don't think he has any theories as of yet, Miss Maple. I'm sure any help you could give him would be useful. As long as you're discreet about it. He doesn't take kindly to interference.
Oh, I'll be very discreet. The inspector will hardly realise that I'm here. As it happens, I have one or two ideas myself for making a little progress.
I think you'll find these flowers may need some water, Mrs. Harwood. Now, what was I doing?
I would definitely advise you not to go back into that, Inspector.
I understand you're treading water at the moment, Inspector.
You mean this? I haven't been for a swim, Miss Maplethorpe. I was simply refreshing my cranial brain lobes.
Very wise. Anyway, I have rather a good idea as to how we might identify the killer, if indeed there is a killer. It concerns the consumption of the cheese sandwich. But I suppose you're way ahead of me on that one, aren't you, Inspector?
Yes, I consummated it myself.
Oh, you've started the analysis. That's excellent. The sandwich is vital evidence.
Vital. It is. Yes, of course it is. Crucial vitality.
I'd be interested to learn your techniques. Have you been have you taken precise measurements or a plaster of Paris imprint?
I hardly think there's much to be gained from measuring sandwiches, Miss Maple. The size of a loaf can be quite varied. Mrs. Pratt's baps are enormous.
Yes, well, the size is not important. Not important, Inspector.
I think I'm with you, Miss Maple. Teeth marks in the sandwich.
Well done, young man. I think your missing constable may have disturbed someone in the middle of a cheese sandwich.
And what was this someone doing in the middle of a cheese sandwich?
No, in the middle of eating a cheese sandwich.
Yes, quite, but hardly a criminal offence.
No, I'm not saying that's why we killed your man. Simply that we may use the sandwich to identify the killer. If you remember, the sandwich was very stale and there were clear imprints in the bite mark. Yes, I think we could use those imprints against the teeth of possible suspects. There may be distinctive features.
Teeth marks, yes, very good. Teeth. Well, what did you do with the sandwich, Atkins?
Well, I think you had it last, sir, on the desk there.
Naturally, I'm prepared to submit my dentures for inspection.
It's gone, sir.
It's what?
The plate, it's empty.
Empty? But I left it in your care, Atkins.
No, you didn't, sir.
If I said I did, I did. It's your responsibility to look after the evidence. I haven't got eyes in the back of my head, they're at the front, like everyone else's.
Well, that's exceedingly careless of you, Inspector.
It's not my fault.
About losing the sandwich. We don't even know what kind of cheese it was. That may have led us to the buyer. I fear you've been outwitted by a superior intellect, Inspector.
Unlikely, Miss Maplethorpe. I'm told that my high Q is in double figures. As it happens, the cheese was a distinctive, mature cheddar with just a hint of an old sock aftertaste.
And how do you know that?
So you're all buying here, is it? There's lovely. I've been looking for you, Inspector. I've had a very good idea.
Not another one.
No, it's the first good idea I've had for an hour or two.
I mean, not another person with a good idea.
Why, has somebody else had one?
No, they haven't.
Well, why did you say they have? Do. You can be awful confusing if you don't mind my saying so.
Just get on with it, Mrs. Organ.
Well, I can't. Because I can't tell you with all these people around my ear. It's a secret scene. They'll all have to go. Except maybe Miss Maple. I think she's one of us.
But this is my house. Why can't I stay? I live here, for goodness. I insist on knowing what's going on in my own house.
Well, I'm sure you'll be told later on, dear. Why don't you and the constable go and make a fresh pot of tea for us all?
Sir?
Off you go, Atkins, and less sugar for me this time.
You know, this is really getting too much.
This better be good, Mrs. Organ. I'm a very busy inspector.
But I wouldn't have troubled you if it weren't. Fair play, Inspector. I'm only trying to help. I think I've already mentioned to you the brooding spirits.
You've hardly stopped.
Well, we are going to make contact with them tonight at midnight.
And how are we going to do that?
Oh, you can leave that to me, boyo. I do have my methods. It's my vocation.
Yes, well, this might seem like a holiday jaunt to you, but it's a very serious matter to me.
Yes, well, I'm hoping that the spirits will reveal what has happened here. You wouldn't say no to an helping hand, would you? You do look as though you could do with a bit of a leg up, if you don't mind my saying.
Before this goes any further, I feel duty-bound to warn against it. In my experience, dabbling with the occult is extremely dangerous. Surely you can't sanction this, Inspector.
I may or may not sanctify it. The decision will be mine. There aren't really any ghosts.
Deep inside, you know there are. And it's clear that Miss Maple believes so too. That's why we three, and only we three, must join forces. I sense the others in the house don't believe. If they know our plans, they may deter the spirits with their negative vibrations. And we wouldn't want that to happen now, would we? Miss Maple exaggerates the dangers, though there is, I suppose, a small risk that having enticed them to communicate, they may want to come back over.
Over where?
Over there? Well, you could say they are always very unpredictable. Are you prepared to give it a go, Inspector?
I don't think so, no. It seems a shame to disturb them so late at night.
You are not frightened, are you?
Frightened? Of course not. But midnight is awfully late and, Mrs. Pratt likes to be in bed by 9:30 with a cup of Horlicks. It would upset her routine.
There's lovely, isn't it? Do. You're a terrible disappointment, Inspector. I thought you had more about you. Still, if you don't want to know the identity of the killer, on your head be it.
You mean they might name them by name?
That's highly likely, I would say.
So, there is light at the end of the tunnel. I suppose I could slip out after Mrs. Pratt has gone to sleep and then slip back in again later without disturbing her.
So, it's agreed then. We'll meet her at midnight, or would you rather be through by there?
No, by you.
I heard it is then, and not a word to anyone. Are you with us, Miss Maple?
This is madness. Oh, quite insane. But if you won't be diverted from this course of action, then I feel duty-bound to join you. I'd never forgive myself if you were overwhelmed by strange forces. Although in your case, Inspector, I think you succumbed some time ago.
Then, midnight it is. We'll see what dark secrets the other side can reveal.
Hello, Mrs. Organ. Can you hear me? Hello? Mrs. Organ? Are you dead?
Oh, you'll be that wee Inspector Pratt. A funnier looking wee fella if ever saw one. Well, we've an old horses a baron that it was impolite to stare. You have nothing to say for yourself.
Okay, then you.
Be very careful, wee man. Dinna go starting any of that funny business with me, or I'll be minded to take your head off.
Inspector, we must be very careful how we speak to her.
It's Mrs. Organ. She's gone funny.
Yes, I believe she slipped into some kind of alter incarnation.
Why is she talking in that funny voice?
Well, I'm sure we'll find out soon enough. Mrs. Morgan. Mrs. Morgan. We must be very gentle how we wake her. Otherwise we could cause her damage. Mrs. Morgan, Bloodwind. Bloodwind.
Wake up, Mrs.
Inspector!
What's happened?
Well, we found you in a carnation.
You were talking in a very strange strange Scottish accent. We were rather concerned.
Scottish? A Scottish man?
I thought you had a sore throat.
He didn't insult you, did he?
You didn't seem very friendly.
That's all right then. That'll have been old Dougal MacDougall. He don't mean no harm. Though he do get cantankerous from time to time. Temper like a match he has. He's one of my guides on the other side. I've been inquiring to see if there was anyone around by here to help me. Pity it's him though, because he do sometimes start fights. It can get very unpleasant when he upsets the poltergeists.
I take it that despite my advice, you're still determined to go ahead with this madness.
Yes, of course. I think it's time we took the bull by the neckles. I gave Mrs. Pratt a double dose of Horlicks. I think she should sleep through all right.
Have either of you done this kind of thing before? Well, there's nothing to it really when you've got the knack. Why don't you sit down by her, Inspector? Perhaps you could light the candle. It do help to make a more conducive atmosphere. Now, if you both hold my hands, it do help to strengthen the connection, see? Is there anybody there by you? Will you talk to me? Is there anybody there?
It's all right, it's just me and Miss Maplethorpe.
Shush! I was just going then. I can't get through. Oh, I'll take the heel. You take the load.
Inspector, quickly, you broke it. She may be in great danger.
That's a much better reception than you.
Mr. MacDougall?
Aye. And who would you be? Might have a asking you.
My name is Joan and I am a friend.
Aye, very well then. Do you know have a bed to be gone to though? It's very late.
Well, I'm very sorry. We were rather hoping you may be able to help us, Mr. MacDougall. We'd like to know if there's anybody been keeping an eye on the house.
Aye, well I may be helping you. But I didn't like that wee inspector you have there with you. It'll cost him £5.
Oh, that's rather a large sum.
£5 and not a heappenny less. You can, I'm on double time after 6 o'clock.
Well, I suppose that's very reasonable then, and I think the inspector may give you a tip as well.
Aye, well, see what I can do.
It seems to be progressing very well, Inspector.
Well, but he's after £5. That's more than Mrs. Pratt gets for her housekeeping.
But I don't think you'll have to pay, Inspector. I mean, I can hardly see how a ghost could use money.
I heard that. If a wee Sassenach wants my help, I'll have to be paid me. And I'll take it in advance if you didn't mind. Mrs. Morgan can hold it on account for me. Oh, you can know be sure when some earthly possessions might not come in very handy.
Well, yes, and I'm sure the inspector will give you a tip. But I'm not sure you'll want to hear it.
Very good. Right. Now I'll see what I can do for you. There's someone here who wants to speak to you. Colonel Craddock is calling himself. I'll be passing you over to him.
Colonel Craddock? But he's dead.
I rather think that's the whole point.
Hello, can you hear me? Colonel Craddock deceased here. I understand Miss Maple's there.
Colonel Craddock, is that you?
Certainly is, old gal. Remarkable. First time I've gone in for this sort of thing. Haven't quite got the hang yet, but expect I'll muddle through.
Well, we can hear you loud and clear, Colonel.
Ah.
I have Inspector Pratt here with me.
Good Lord, not that chump. Didn't do a very good job protecting me, eh, old boy?
I'm sorry, Colonel. I had an off day. It won't happen again.
You've never had an on day in your life. Still, I've got some information for you. It's about that missing constable of yours. Afraid young Nancy's got involved somehow. I just popped back for a bit of a mooch round when she came in from the hall. Now, let's see. I'll see if I can talk you through what happened.
I'm sorry I'm so late. I do hope that you... Oh my God! Oh no, Mother, what have you done now? Oh. Hello? Who's there? Hello? I must warn you, I'm armed. Please, I don't want to hurt you, I just want to... Ah!
What the hell are we here, huh? Who is this man, huh? You know him?
Yes,
So why are you killing him, huh? He's a bad man, huh?
I didn't kill him.
No, Mommy, you expect me, Enzo Garibaldi, to believe such a lie? You think I am a fool, huh?
I didn't kill him. I just found him. But what were you doing in there? That door's always locked.
What was I? You're right, I am a fool. I forget that's so easily. Now, I think we have a little talk and then you decide to help me. You see, otherwise, you are in a little trouble with Enzo, huh? Enzo, he know your little secret, huh? I think we help each other, huh?
So what do you mean?
It's easy. We talk, huh? Like a good friend, huh?
And that's about it.
What do you mean that's about it? You haven't finished the story.
Sorry and all that. It's not easy coming back over. I was too exhausted to stay any longer. Like now. Got to go. No energy.
Colonel.
Master.
Colonel Haddock, you can't leave now. You've only given me £2.10 worth.
I fear he's said enough already.
What do you mean?
Oh, he's away the noon. He has no more to tell ya. And I'm away myself. I can't be wasting my time here any longer. I'm booked for a haunting at 12:30. And I can't be late all of the dock on my feet.
Oh, Mrs. Morgan, are you all right, dear? Mrs. Morgan. Oh, I do think we should. It'd be an excellent idea if we were to hold that door shut, Inspector.
I'm all right here, thank you.
Help me, Inspector, help me.
Don't worry, Miss Maplethorpe. If you can't hold the door, I'll bid the culture bells get it. Come through.
Oh, Mr. Garibaldi!
And then there he was, standing in the door, looking like he'd seen a ghost. Next thing we know, he's on the floor. Mayhem it was, him dead, and the inspector having knocked himself out.
The poor man, was he all right?
But of course he wasn't. Dead as a coffin nearly was.
One meant the inspector. Was he all right?
Oh, well, he came round eventually. As to whether he were all right, well, that's rather a moot point, isn't it? I don't think you were ever all right.
It's his house. I can't believe it's happening. It's his house. It has to be.
Well, on this occasion, I blame myself. If I hadn't started things off by making contact with old Dougal MacDougal, it wouldn't have happened, would it? When the doctor finally did right by her. He said there seemed to have been some sort of a heart seizure. Must have been fright. There was a lump on his head, but not enough to have killed him.
Well, personally, one couldn't stand the man, as you both well know. But one wouldn't have wished him any harm. Ghastly business, quite ghastly.
Well, that's it. They've taken the Italian gentleman away to slice open for the post-mortem. Fascinating procedure.
I don't see why they need to go through all that expense. They only need to call round by her and ask me, and I'll tell them what's killed him.
Are you all right, squadron leader? You look rather pale. Would you like me to fetch you something to drink, perhaps?
I'm fine, thanks. Perhaps a tot of brandy would have cured us, though. You know, I thought I'd escaped it for a while back here. Seen enough sudden death in the last 6 months to last me a lifetime. Too many good times gone for a birth.
Well, I think you should sit down and rest for a while. I mean, you haven't stopped since you got up this morning.
Exactly, squadron leader. You've taken such a keen interest in the arrangements. You couldn't have done more had you been a friend of Mr. Garibaldi.
Just lending a hand, that's all. Just chipping in.
Bad news for you, though, Mrs. Allwright.
Why, what's happened now?
Perhaps your husband should tell you. It's most unfortunate.
Yes, I'm afraid it is bad news, Dens. Bad nuisance, really. I received a call early this morning. My leave has been cancelled and I've been reposted. I'll need to get a reading and be away this afternoon at the latest.
Oh, darling, how terrible. Just that we thought we'd spend some time together. Terrible thing is the war, isn't it? 1 minute you're together and then you're not. You never do know what's round the next corner, do you? Next thing you know, your husband could be dead.
Very comforting. I was already feeling pretty round off as it was.
Don't take a moment's notice, squadron leader. I'm sure you shall be as safe as Pisces.
But now they've started to bomb the cities, I'm not sure the houses are too safe anymore. Still, cheer everybody.
They're all in here, sir. I just brought the inspector back from his checkup.
Is he feeling a lot better? He was unconscious for quite some time.
You're perfectly all right, aren't you, sir? Excuse me, he seems to have gone astray.
Surely the hospital shouldn't be allowing him back here. I mean, the poor man may be concussed.
Well, maybe, but fair play to them. How would they know? Doctors are brushing the best of times.
Rather unfair there, Mrs. Norton. But rather spot on. Still, I'm sure he does his best.
Oh, I don't doubt that. All I'm saying is, his best is hopeless.
No, sir, you don't want to be upstairs. We're all down here, sir. Careful, sir. No, you don't want to come down like that. Careful. Down now, sir. Come on. You get out, don't be through. Still a little bit disorientated.
Good afternoon.
Oh, it's still morning, sir.
Are they really?
I think he's still a little bit.
Be happy since the moment I first met him.
Perhaps it would be wise if you were to take a seat, Inspector. Inspector!
That's you, sir.
Oh, yes, of course. May I have your tickets, please?
Inspector, I really do think you should sit down.
Why? Are we going somewhere nice?
They did say that he might have a little temporary amnesia. Didn't they, sir? Do you know what day it is, sir?
But of course I do. It's today.
Chap should be home in his condition. No point trying to fly with a dicky wing. Fella should be tucked up in bed if you ask me.
He could perhaps have a lie down here for a while, if he likes. He could use my room if he wishes.
How about it, sir?
How about what?
Would you like to come up to bed with me, Inspector? Oh no! It would appear he's banging his head again!
Be gentle with me.
Do let me have a look at him. I'll soon put him right. Hello? Can you hear me, Prattback? Do you want to go to bed? remember everything now, Inspector?
Why shouldn't I? Why was I at the hospital, Atkins?
Oh, you didn't seem very well earlier this morning, sir. Did you have amnesia?
I don't know, I can't remember.
But you do remember what happened last night?
Yes, of course. As if it was yesterday. Miss Mablethorpe attacked me.
Oh, I'm so terribly sorry, Inspector. I lost my grip on the door.
Oh, and then Mr. Garibaldi appeared in the doorway and dropped like a stone.
The Dutchman?
Italian, sir. I have a note from the doctor, sir.
You can't take sick leave now, I need you here.
About Mr. Garibaldi, sir. They're taking him away for a post-mortem, sir.
Ah, any chance he might pull through?
They'll have cut him in half, Inspector.
50-50 then.
No doubt that it was a seizure.
Yes, but what caused him to be seized so? Was it natural causes, or was it a case of death by fatal murder?
He died of fright. Oh, I must say, I nearly went myself. Oh, it goes right through me when I think about it.
Where was everyone when Mr. Baldy crumpled to his death? I'm aware of where Mrs. Organ and Miss Mablethorpe were because they are about where they are now. What about you, miss?
Well, it was very late, and one was asleep in one's bed, Inspector.
Huh? And do you have any witnesses to that, Miss Buckle?
Certainly not. Whatever I would plan. Daddy will be furious if he heard you slurring one's name in such a fashion.
Forgive me, I had no intention of slurring, miss. I had occasional problems with my tongue. What about you, Mrs. Harford?
Similarly, Inspector.
A pity one so young should be inflicted by dental problems. You have my sympathies.
No, I was in my room also, asleep.
In bed with your husband?
No, not exactly.
My leg was causing me a bit of jip. I couldn't sleep. I was sitting by the bedside reading a book. I didn't want to disturb Nancy with my tossing and turning.
Indeed, my husband could be a terrible tosser.
It all seems to confirm the theory that no one else was involved, sir.
But you haven't forgotten about the missing constable, have you? About the revelations that were made last night? Look, I have Miss Maple's notes by here.
Why did you acquire those? They were intended solely for my own
I
record.
didn't think you'd mind. They must have been left lying around in the confusion. Oh, I can't believe some of the things that came out of my mouth. Oh, Mrs. Allwright discovered the constable's body. I must have thought it was her mother that killed him. She said, "Oh, Mother, what have you done now?" Mr. Garibaldi heard her.
I don't know what she's talking about. I don't know anything about a body. Good Lord, surely you don't believe in all this seance nonsense? Oh.
I have an empty mind, Mrs. Harper. I have no preconceptions about Mrs. Harper.
What's all this about your mother?
Yes, your mother-in-law, the inane Mrs. Haddock. Is she in the loft hatching plots?
So maybe the silly blighter didn't kill the constable after all.
Which silly light?
Earlier last night, I had a bit of a barney with Mr. Garibaldi. In the end, he told me he had killed the missing constable. I was going to report it to you, of course, but I didn't get the opportunity. But now you're saying it was her and her mother.
But why would Mr. Garibaldi admit to something so serious?
I don't know, but it all makes sense now. You killed him last night to keep him quiet about what really happened.
Surely this can't be true.
Oh, yes, it can. Shirley here has been turned around.
That's absolute nonsense. If you remember, darling, you were in the bedroom with me. You just told the inspector so.
Yes, But he was lying, wasn't he, Shirley? You were prowling the house, taking your mother another cheese sandwich to sustain her massive bulk. You saw Mr. Baldy and fatally killed him. Charge her, Atkinson.
I'm not quite sure what with, sir.
The charge is that the other day, and then again on another other day, she, adroitly and severely, with her mad mother, cause or commit to be committed a number of murders, probably about 2 of them. That'll do for starters.
Sorry, sir. I can't charge her. It wouldn't be right.
I'm ordering you to. That's demolition of duty.
It's just that I know she didn't kill Mr. Garibaldi, sir.
How?
Because at the time he died, I was in her bedroom, sir.
In her? What for?
Thought that might have been obvious, sir.
You and her and him?
Just the 2 of us, sir.
You and Wing Commander all.
Me and Mrs. Alcott. All right.
Did you know your wife was having an extramural affair?
No, of course not, old chap. First I heard. Fortunes of war, I suppose.
Oh, please, Inspector. It wasn't Constable Tompkins' fault. I seduced him. He merely come to my room to speak with me.
So Nancy couldn't have killed Mr. Garibaldi, sir. She was with me.
Yes, committing idolatry.
Oh, no, I did discover the body, and no, I didn't report it. Because Mr. Garibaldi threatened to kill me if I uttered a word. I was frightened.
There's no getting away from the fact that you said, "Oh, Mother, what have you done now?"
No, I just said, oh, Mother, like you would say, oh, dash or damn it.
I think you will find Mrs. Craddock is nowhere around here, Inspector.
Then I won't find her then, if she's not around here.
I think the point is that we'll find that Mr. Garibaldi killed the constable. If you remember, I had a theory about a cheese sandwich. I think we'll find that the teeth that fit the imprint will probably be the killer's.
Pity you lost the sandwich, sir.
You're in enough trouble as it is, Atkinson. Don't push your luck.
Fortunately, Inspector, all your birthdays seem to have come at once. I found this morning under the table. It seemed to have fallen there unobserved. You seem surprised, Inspector.
Surprise, no, it's just that you see her.
Compare the imprint and compare it with Mr. Garibaldi's teeth, and I think you'll find a perfect match, the same distinctive features. I made a brief examination before they took him away. The same distinctive pattern. His teeth at the front, pronounced lateral incisors.
There's no need to patricide me, Miss Maple. I know how to pronounce lateral incisors.
Bravo, Miss Maple. John Acton. What stupendous detective work. Absolutely first class.
Well, I do have a little ability in these matters, and together with his confession to the squadron leader, it would indicate that Mr. Garibaldi was indeed the killer. To what purpose, I imagine we'll never know.
So what he told me last night was true of.
But I don't see why Mr. Garibaldi would confess that he killed the poor constable. I mean, why confess? It seems rather silly.
Well, I don't think we need to dwell too much on that, dear, and the squadron leader needs to be leaving us soon if he's not to be late.
No can do.
A short train.
No, dash it. I owe an explanation. People have died. Bad show. The reason he told me was because, well, in a way, the blighter was blackmailing me. I was helping him out in a bit of a jam, but then I felt to pull out. Not my cup of tea at all.
Be careful what you say, sir. You don't have to say anything at this stage.
Mr. Baldy was blackballing Wing Commander Shuttlecock, who decided to shuttle him up permanently by killing him dead.
But I could never have killed him. It would never have entered my head.
Very little enters the inspector's head. That goes on into the things.
I didn't kill him. He was my brother.
Oh, brother? You mean you're Dutch too?
Italian, sir.
Don't be ridiculous, Atkinson. He doesn't sound a bit Italian.
My brother was as English as me, Inspector, but I'm afraid he was a rotten egg since the day he was born. When I hitched myself to the RAF a few years ago, he joined the army, never made anything for himself. He got caught up in the Dunkirk business and then deserted.
But I can't see why you'd want to impersonate an Italo. No sense in that at all, in my opinion.
We often holidayed in Italy as boys, so he's pretty fluent in the lingo. And Italian with all the right papers was a perfect disguise. He can never be suspected of desertion, never get called up. No one will give him a second glance.
So he came here, somewhere isolated, to keep his head down?
He came here because he found a way to extort money. Something to do with my darling wife, though.
You mean he was blackballing your wife as well? For instance.
Yes, but there's the thing, you see. She's not my wife at all, old chap. Not sure whether I'm pleased or not.
Not your wife? But you two have the same name.
No, of course we don't. My name's Geoffrey Baker.
You're not you at all. I knew you were in persecution yourself, didn't I, Atkinson?
But I am the squadron leader, as it happens. At least I was. Spectre and up on Jankers now. Everything else I told you is true, though. Except the bit about being shot down.
But why would a brave man like yourself do such a thing? I mean, I know he was your brother, but why were you helping him?
Truth is, like a clot, I've been bailing him out all my life. He came to me with one last scheme, promised that he'd be out of my hair forever. I was to turn up here and pretend to be Mrs. Albright's husband for a few days. He reckoned she was a cheat and she had it coming anyway.
A cheat, is it? Well, what's going on my ear? Do. This is getting to be a right old to-do, Inspector. I hope you're managing to keep up.
Look, I haven't the foggiest what it was all about. But I do know that my brother got his info from some forger chap, an old pal of his who made his false papers for him.
Oh dear.
Oh dear, what?
Oh dear. I feel I can hold back no longer, Inspector.
Oh, down the hall, I believe.
No, I blame myself entirely. I am familiar with the forger to whom the squadron leader refers.
One simply cannot believe that you would know anyone as ghastly as that, Miss Maple. Hardly within one social circle.
Well, over the years, I've come to know many of the criminal fraternity. I am somewhat of an amateur sleuth, as the inspector is aware.
Yes, Miss Margate, I am wary of your social past.
Please, Miss Marple, don't say another word.
No, dear.
I take all responsibility for what may have happened here tonight.
I must take the repercussions of my actions. Inspector, why do you think the Colonel never mentioned his daughter, ever?
He had two.
To what?
Oh, I knew about Shirley, but not about Evan.
He didn't have any daughters, Inspector.
She's his son.
No, of course not. Inspector, picture a young girl born out of wedlock and cruelly cast aside, abandoned in an orphanage. Imagine how the burden of shame and sorrow ate away at her heartless mother as she racked her brains trying to make amends. But envisage her joy when the mother suddenly saw an opportunity to provide for the daughter and put an unwanted but splendid old house to good use.
I'm the daughter, Inspector.
And to my eternal shame, I am the mother. She's not the Colonel's daughter, Inspector, but she is mine.
Gosh!
Nancy was born after I committed a small indiscretion after imbibing rather too enthusiastically of some homemade elderberry wine.
Ever so strong it is, right enough. Easily done. I've been tiddly myself.
Yes, well, selfishly afraid of what people would think of me, I deposited her outside an orphanage in a small wicker hamper. The Colonel's death suddenly provided an opportunity to make amends, to give something back.
She told me that.
she was my mother, and that the Colonel was my father.
Yes. So I have the necessary papers forged to enable Nancy to inherit all. It seems the forger must have talked. Perhaps I should have had him snuffed out. What would I think of such a thing?
You see, I couldn't believe in my good fortune. I'd always wanted to run my own orphanage. And why, this house was just perfect.
The Colonel was a kind and generous man, and I believe he would have been pleased to see the house put to good use.
One doesn't want to appear dense, but why give Nancy a hypothetical husband? I mean, of course, a hypothetical husband might be the best kind. Sorry.
My mother was always adamant that in order for me to run a successful orphanage, I would need the respectability of marriage. When I said, "Oh no, Mother, what have you done now?" I was talking about my real mother, Miss Maple. Then, when the squadron leader's brother told me I wasn't the Colonel's daughter, I was mortified, and then I was angry with both him and my mother. Garibaldi told me that my fictitious husband would turn up on the doorstep, and that in time I was to sell the house and give him half of the money as a settlement.
Well, I'll be dashed. He promised me he would only ask for a couple of thousand.
Well, I persuaded Nancy that we just needed to keep calm, and then I would find a way to bring the constable's killer to justice without revealing our own little subterfuge.
And how would one manage to do that?
And I wasn't certain, and now I realise I was being very stupid. It would have cost Nancy and myself our lives.
What?
I wouldn't have harmed anyone.
No, but don't you see? Your brother knew enough to just simply blackmail us. He didn't need you to act the part of Nancy's husband. Why would he do that?
Because he was stupid.
No, because he was greedy. He needed to prove that Nancy's husband was alive and well. And then he would inherit.
The only way he could get everything would be by...
Nancy to be killed. And I would too have been killed, because I was the only other one who knew the truth.
And then I came along and spoilt all your plans, eh? Who knew I'd see through your little centrifuge, Miss Margate?
No, on the contrary, Inspector, when you stumbled upon the scene, I was absolutely delighted. It seemed if the police had to be here, it was best that it was you.
But I got you in the end. Pity Atkinson wasn't a bit quicker on the uptake.
Actually, I found out what I told the other day, sir.
How?
Well, I knew something wasn't right. It was the squadron leader who made the first mistake.
Me? What did I do? But I played a bit of a blinder.
When we first interviewed you, sir, you kept holding the wrong leg.
Did I? Well, I'll be blowed. Dash cares. Serves me right for getting too damn theatrical. And sure.
Tell me.
Secretly seeing Nancy for a few weeks now. Last night I made her confess everything. I agreed to help her and Miss Maple on the understanding that they gave this place up afterwards.
You've all been very hot soup over this, Atkinson.
Oh, I'm afraid it gets worse, sir. I believe I also caused the death of Constable Atkins. We were both up for promotion. Well, I think he thought I was seeing a married woman. He must have come here to try and catch me out with Mrs. Allwright, but the squadron leader's brother must have panicked when he saw the uniform and thought he'd been rumbled. That's why he killed him.
But the one thing I don't understand,
And what?
where does Mrs. Morgan fit into all of this? I was somewhat sceptical about the authenticity of last evening's séance.
Yes.
Well,
I remain sceptic myself.
there's nothing. If it hadn't been for my revelations, none of this would have come out.
But if you really did contact the Colonel, why didn't you tell us more? I mean, let's face it, there was a lot more to tell. Unless, of course, you didn't contact anyone at all.
Didn't contact anyone. That's my professional integrity you're slandering, Miss Maple. You don't want to go by her, Inspector. I'm going to be famous. Mystic Bloodwin, the woman whose power helps solve the crime.
Yes, and I believe that was all you wanted, just a little fame.
You want to be careful what you say. I told you before I came here that you have to watch them. They don't like the Welsh, see? They're jealous of us. They can't sing like us.
Are you Welsh as well, miss?
Gosh, no. One was born in Berkshire.
Now then, girl, don't you go denying your heritage. Your mother would turn in your grave. Oh dear, I shouldn't have said that.
You two know each other, don't you?
No, not really. I don't know her from Adam. I hope you don't think she's my niece. Oh dear, I shouldn't have said that either. Oh, I got myself into a terrible pickle there, aren't I? Don't you go letting the cat out of the bag, mind. Why, there's life, there's still hope, I suppose.
One thinks one may have said too much already, Auntie. I told you it wouldn't work.
Auntie?
Yes, Auntie Blood. One knew of her interest in the spirit world, and one happened to mention in a letter of this spooky place one was working at. And of course, she couldn't resist coming along to see for herself.
I've always had the gift.
Yes, except I don't think really she made contact with anyone while she was here, Inspector.
You mean you didn't speak with Frugal MacDougal at all? But he's got my £5.
You didn't make up what you told us. You must have seen the constable being killed. Why didn't you tell us earlier?
Well, I didn't see it as such. I was doing a bit of ghost hunting through by there, and I got in through the window, and I heard a bit of a commotion, and then I heard Mr. Garibaldi and Mrs. Albright having a confab. So I had to get out quick before they saw me.
So that was why you didn't tell us anymore, because that was all you knew.
I thought I was quite convincing. I asked Ginny here to give me an hand to make it more authentic, see? The fuse box is through in that part of the house. I asked Ginny to go through by there last night and flick a few switches.
So you were in there with the squadron leader's brother. You must have seen him.
Oh, I'm not doing very well by here, am I?
The man was quite ghastly. One doesn't like to speak ill of the dead, squadron leaders, especially as he was your brother, but I rather think he brought it upon himself. I went in there as Auntie asked. I was stood by the fuse box waiting, and he must have followed me in. He attacked me. It was horrible. He was groping. So I picked up the nearest thing to hand, which was a pipe, and I gave him a tap with it. And then I think I must have dropped the pipe.
What did you do with the tap?
Ran, Inspector.
You mean you ran the tap?
No! One ran for one's life, Inspector. Mr. Garibaldi staggered away. He seemed stunned, but no more than that. I was mortified to hear this morning of his death. Oh, Squadron Leader, one is so desperately sorry. One intended to discourage him, not kill him. I didn't hit him that hard. One had no malice.
Nah, but you would have hit him with a malice had one had one.
I always warned him he'd come to a sticky end. He always took things too far. Blotted his copybook, what?
But you mustn't distress yourself, dear. You were only defending yourself. But I still don't see how you found the time to flash the lights on and off.
Oh, ouch! One lets Auntie Blood down rather badly there. One didn't have time.
But the lights did flash. So how did that happen?
Yes, there was a distinctive pattern. I have it here. Dot, dash, dash, dot, dot, Dot,
Good Lord!
what is it?
Hang on a minute, I'm just working it out. Dot, did you want?
A.B. That's what it means. A.B. Archie Baker. That was my brother's name, old chap.
So, it would seem the Colonel was here trying to tell us who killed the constable after all.
Well, I can't see any other explanation. So I did get through after all. Mind you, I have to confess, it's the first time it's ever happened. I always lived in hope, though.
Well, that seems to tie up all the loose ends, Inspector.
So, Colonel Haddock was trying to contact me after all. He must have liked me then.
Well, let's not stretch credibility too far. But now we're all at your bidding, and you must do what you must do.
You'll have,
Bidding for what?
you'll have to arrest us all, sir. We've all committed one crime or another.
Have you?
I withheld evidence, sir.
And I committed fraud and deceit. Quite unforgivable.
I killed Mr. Baker.
Blackmail for me, old chap.
I conspired in the fraud along with my mother.
And I suppose, if you were going to be really harsh, you could argue that technically I could have said more a bit sooner. And I suppose there was a little bit of deceit in there too.
But at least the real victim has received justice. The constable killer is dead, and there can be no harsher punishment than that, I fear.
Well, I suppose we'd all better go down to the police station, sir.
Hang on a minute. Not so fast. Are you all trying to make me look a fool?
Well, you wouldn't have to try that hard, would you?
How am I supposed to make a case out of all this nonsense? A seance. And how can I charge Wing Commander Bacon with anything? His country needs him almost as much as it needs me.
But what about me? I killed a man.
No, you didn't. He died in here. You were nowhere near. Anyway, he killed Constable Atkins. The teeth marks in the sandwich prove it.
Well, not really, I'm afraid. In the absence of the original sandwich, I made that one this morning to deceive you, Inspector. I am sorry, Squadron Leader. I took an imprint from your brother's dead body this morning.
No less than he deserved, I suppose. Anyway, he had confessed to me.
And that's what's going in my report. None of this other nonsense. Get them out of here, Atkinson, before I change my mind and charge them all for wasting police time.
Inspector, if I may.
No, you may not, Mrs. Margate. I do not want another cup of tea.
No, Inspector. I've misjudged you very badly, and I'm terribly sorry. Perhaps when the orphanage is up and running, you will come and have tea and scones with the children.
I really don't think I'll have the time. I'm a very busy man.
Oh, I think you'll find the time, Inspector. I do believe you'll find the time.
Visit indeed. I don't have time to visit. Still, Colonel Haddock, I think you'd approve. Look after the kiddies, eh? None of this other nonsense. No point making waves. No. Far too much paperwork, and I'm far too busy. Far too important. Still, I only wish there was a way you could let me know, Colonel. Have I done the right thing? Y E S. Y-E-S? Yes. Colonel Haddock! Atkinson!